And the funny thing was he hadn't been in the car with me on curves until we headed back down when I was like, okay, it's my turn.
Yeah.
And he was like, holy shit. Like, I was like, not to stroke my cock that much, like my ego cock.
But you were going to.
But, I mean, he was floored.
Yeah.
He was, because we were kind of driving into the sunlight a bit. I had the visor down.
Yeah.
And I was definitely getting on it.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially for an M4 on that road.
And I was too. Like, it was funny because I had Nico passenger seat with me.
Yeah.
And so he was playing racing instructor the whole time, which was awesome because he's just like really fucking good. Go here, brake, now, down, go, power on, go. You know.
Didn't I lead though? I led leading.
You led
there.
going back.
Yeah.
Yeah. You led going back, and I was leading going to it.
Right.
Yep.
What the funny thing was, so where we're going.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever this podcast may find you. It is I, your host, Gavin.
And I, your co-host, Justin. And we are yet again absent from Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan's feeling a little sickly this week, but we wish him well, and we hope to have him back for next week. But so Jordan, or another J name, Justin and I have been reminiscing about last year's Motoring United Los Angeles, or MULA for short, event that we threw and hosted last year. Maybe we'll just have all the MU meetups and stuff be like through Exhibition of Speed, and it becomes an Exhibition of Speed thing.
I'd be fine with that.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
So we are going to be in Los Angeles the weekend. Well, we start leaving on Thursday. Was it the 17th?
Yep.
We were stopping in Vegas to see a buddy of mine. You never met Steven.
No.
Because I went the year before you and I got started with this.
Mm-hmm.
And he is a known Corvette guy. The first time I met him, actually, I was riding in his C7 Z06 that was making over 700 horsepower up Big Tahunga Canyon at night. That was a fucking sight to behold, let me tell you. But we are going down to he's moved from Pasadena back to Henderson, where he resides now, and we are going to be filming a C2 Corvette.
That's owned by him.
That's his, yes.
Yes.
And we'll be shooting that in Valley of Fire, and so that's going to be fucking sick, because I've never been. It's basically going to be like Moab, but more extreme, from what I gather.
Mm-hmm.
The rolling shots from there are going to be fire.
Literally.
In the Valley of Fire.
I know. It's just all great.
So, yeah, we'll be doing that, and then heading out to Los Angeles the next day, where we will we'll be taking residence on the beach in Malibu.
We're pampered little bitches.
Oh, I'm so excited. You'll be on your cot and I'll be on a couch, but it's fine.
We're still on the beach in Malibu.
We're on the beach in Malibu, and
being homeless on the beach in Malibu is you're still above most people.
Yeah, no kidding. And the nice thing is this house is like a block and a half away from one of my favorite roads in California, which is called Las Flores, and that connects with another road called Piuma, and that takes you up to this beautiful ridge that overlooks the ocean, and it's fucking amazing. You and I had a little go last year in the Stinger and the M4.
And it was really damn good.
Oh, that was so good. And I look forward to having another really good Actually,
we're going to have a very different take on it this time.
You know what I might actually do?
What?
I might pull a fast one on Wesley for a little bit.
Okay.
So I'm splitting a Turo again with a friend of mine, Wesley Kagan. Shout out to you, buddy. Wesley Kagan actually is a fucking mad lad. I'm sure he was already planning on doing this, but he opened a poll in Motor United to what he should do to his, I think it's a Jeep TJ.
Mm-hmm.
And someone it was an open poll, and one of the first people said, do a 6x6.
And so he did it.
And so he fucking did it. And so he just, I don't know what he does for a living, so I'll figure that out soon. He has some cool watches that I hope he brings. He's actually riding his bike or one of his motorcycles over.
Nice.
So we're splitting a Turo. You people will find out what that is later when it actually happens.
Let's just be saying I will be having...
You have your own Turo.
Yes, we each have our own Turos.
Yeah. Well, I'm sharing with Wesley, and you have your own.
And I have my own, and Mine is.
It's laughable. Let's
Oh
just put
goodness,
it that
it'll
way.
just be, it'll be funny. If I can even keep up, it'll be a miracle.
You could probably. Well,
I'm gonna see how far I can.
Kevin
send
isn't
this
coming,
thing.
so
Yeah.
there's that. Etoria is coming though.
Yeah,
Etoria Spears.
yeah, in her Mazda 3.
Manual.
Yeah,
Previous gen.
I don't know. I still don't know. Even that thing might.
It depends on where.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know,
I'm gonna feel like
actually.
I'm gonna feel like I'm pedaling a cruise ship up a canal, basically.
It's gonna be great. Shenanigans will ensue. But actually, a thought just came to my head though. What if I wake up even earlier for a sunrise?
Can you wake up even earlier? Is this physically possible? You were complaining about 6.
Yeah, I might wake up at 6 again, and go run up Payuma. Because I have the miles.
Yeah,
We have the miles on the car.
yeah.
Because a run in the car that I'm renting up Payuma. Hint, the top comes down.
Yes.
That's gonna be fucking spectacular. If I don't have someone in the passenger seat with me, that'd be nice.
The amazing thing with mine is if it just makes the trip in general and I don't have a breakdown.
Yeah, and so anyways, to kind of keep this thing going, we are doing a 200-mile drive starting in Thousand Oaks, and we will be driving up the 33, which starts in Ojai, yeah, it's gonna be pretty amazing. I drove there last year with Jordan in the 718.
It was actually this year because it was January.
Fuck, it is this
Yeah.
year. Jesus. Yeah, we drove up there and we got some flybys up there and also got some drone shots up there. If you've seen our 718 review,
Yep.
we shot the exterior stuff there and shot the interior in-car stuff on Angeles Crest,
Yeah.
which is that's also a fantastic road too. But yeah, it's gonna be a fucking awesome time. I'm super looking forward to it,
So am I.
and it gives me something to wake up for.
Yes.
Transitioning back to a previous conversation.
Yep. Funny. We could actually kind of do a little recap of last year. Last year we had, as Gavin said, the Stinger and the M4.
Yeah, I rented an M4 and I shared it with Andrew Casey, who's a fucking rad dude. He's coming this year as well. He's bringing his girlfriend and a previous gen Boxster,
Yep.
which is he's gonna love it because he's never driven anything mid-engined.
Haha.
So he's gonna have his lady friend with the top down in a mid-engine Porsche.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, he'll be having a lot of fun.
He's actually coming in early, and he's just going to drive around and kind of explore the area, which is something I would encourage everyone to do if you have the funds.
Yep.
That's something that I would do if I had the funds.
Yeah. If I was in a slightly better place, I would do it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, last year, we're a lot more organized this year than we were last year.
Last year was a slight shit show.
Yeah. It still ended up
I thought
fun.
it was worse than it actually was.
You
Because
did.
people still enjoyed themselves.
Oh yeah, everybody else still enjoyed it. You were the only one that didn't enjoy it because you had different ideas that didn't flush out. But
Well, yeah, and people kept on saying, like, no, we need to do this. I'm like, I want everyone to be happy. I just want everyone to be happy. And people were.
I can't believe you just said that.
Why?
I don't know. It's just funny to hear you say those words.
I want people to be happy?
Yeah.
Oh.
I
I
don't
want
know.
a lot of people to be happy.
I don't know.
Some people that you wouldn't even expect.
I know.
But
Yeah, so last year we did that.
well,
we had
let's walk people through what we did last year. We met up at the same Starbucks
Mm-hmm.
in Thousand Oaks, and then we drove. We hopped on Mulholland first.
Yes.
We took Kanan up to Mulholland, went up and down,
Mm-hmm.
and spat us out. I guess at Tuna,
Yes.
more or less.
Yeah,
We transitioned to Tuna. We lost Kevin pretty quickly. Not even on purpose. He just got lost,
yeah.
which I don't even know how, because we left from a gas station
Yeah.
and just drove up the road. But
And then we went from Tuna.
for those that don't know what Tuna Canyon is or Tuna Road is a one-way road, and it's not even like the one-way road that goes behind the Capitol here in Salt Lake. It is just only one lane. and it's about as wide as Alpine Loop is, maybe a little narrower.
Probably a little narrower because you can still fit 2 cars on Alpine Loop.
Technically, yes. You can't fit 2 cars on Tuna, and it's just super tight and windy. It's a one-way. You start at the top of the hill, still in Malibu, or still kind of in the canyons there, and it drops you down to the PCH. And what was funny last year is like we had the Santa Ana winds, which is also kind of a thing that happens this time of year. But it was hot and dry up in the canyons, and we dropped down, and it probably dropped 15 degrees. And it was super humid and just, lovely oceanside, vibes. But, yeah, so we collected there and then drove up to Neptune's Net, which is kind of a tradition that I've done, but I don't think we won't do that this time of year or this time around. So, Neptune's Net, for those that have seen the Fast and the Furious movies, that's a famous location.
Mm-hmm.
I just like Neptune's because it's got some good seafood and it's right on the water. So, and it's not too terribly expensive. So we did that and then drove up to Ventura, where we got some like coffee and some ice cream or whatever, and then just came back through Camarillo, and
headed around. And I think to me the biggest surprise of last year was the fact that the Stinger was actually surprisingly close to keeping up with the M4. Not quite, but
the thing about the M4, I would walk you in a straight line.
Yes, because it's lighter car with more power.
Yeah.
Simple formula.
Yeah. Also, I believe the power, you get more of the power on like at the end, like starting from the engine going through the driveline because it's a dual clutch and not a torque converter,
and just rear wheel drive and
rear wheel drive.
Yep.
But the thing about the M4 in the corners, the road that we were on, traction control light was just on the entire time.
Yes.
So you could have been in a Miata in theory and been at our pace. You could be in like the new ND Miata and be at our pace.
Yeah.
On roads that narrow, so there's just kind of a maximum speed that you can kind of travel in a vehicle that big.
Yes.
With that much power and rear wheel drive. But yes, we have video footage actually on our channel of you chasing the M4 down Tuna.
Yeah.
And like you would catch up, but there were some times where I was like, oh, I know this corner, and I would just like turn in and give throttle, and I'd just disappear for a second.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, is that I was still catching up with my first time driving down that canyon.
That's the first time I've driven down that canyon, too. I've just seen the YouTube videos a number of times.
Yeah, and it was completely foreign to me. I had never seen anything, but...
Sure. You also had the front wheels helping you.
Yes. Yep, pull me in and pull me out. It was great. But, yeah, that was the first road trip I took it on, because that was... Actually, no.
No, it's not. That was the second, because you did Drive Road Rally.
Yeah, that was after
Drive Road Rally was that summer.
Damn, I missed that car.
I know.
It was so great for shit like that, just bombing across country and then bombing down canyon hills, even as big as it was.
It did very well for its size. Absolutely.
It did. Very well for its size and price point.
Yeah, because Panameras are at that level of size and handling, but they cost way more. The thing about Panameras is that they actually shrink around you at speed, whereas the Stinger just didn't.
It didn't, no.
Which is fine.
Just it's...
Not everything has to be as good as a Porsche.
No. And I don't expect, despite, which is another thing here, we can transition right here. So despite the improvements that the Koreans have made, they may not be to Porsche level, but I would argue that they're to Volkswagen level. Gavin, you have something to say about this weekend?
Oh, okay. Yes. So transition to Koreans. That was a good segue. I had a go in a Veloster N. It wasn't on the most twistiest roads, and I wasn't pushing it 10/10 of my abilities. But I still got to have a go driving. I drove from the gate of Wolf Creek. Shout out to Francisco, by the way. Francisco Herrera. Super awesome dude. Really looking forward to working with him more on some video things and photo things. But we drove up to Wolf Creek and saw the colors up there, and they were pretty spectacular.
Oh, yeah.
His car, so the Veloster N is kind of comparable to the M2 in regards of the amount you can option the car.
Yeah.
There's the base model, which comes with 250 horsepower, open diff, and I think that's kind of it really. Yeah. As far as like notable mentions. because from there, when you go up to the upper package, it's a performance package. You get an extra 25 horsepower, and you get a limited slip diff. It's an ELSD.
Yeah.
And when I was driving it, it didn't feel necessarily like a mechanical LSD.
Yeah.
But I still felt it tug.
Yeah.
I felt it pull me like inside in corners, and it was pretty lovely. There was never any like understeer. Granted, I wasn't pushing it 10/10 of my abilities, but still got in the triples on a place that you wouldn't necessarily expect a car to hit triples.
In Mexico, yeah.
Yes, totally in Mexico. Mexico just so happens to be between Wolf Creek and Salt Lake City.
Yeah, exactly. There's a strip of land that's owned by the embassy.
Yes, that place. Shifter felt good. The weighted knob, the factory knob was weighted a little bit, so that helped with going into gears.
Yeah.
Pops and bangs
were fantastic.
They were pretty great. Power was good. Brakes felt fine. It has a great auto rev match technology.
Yeah.
But the thing about that, the good thing about that, is that you can just turn it off
with one button.
And what was actually really interesting, and what I didn't mention to you about, is that there's all these. The amount of parameters that you can actually customize on that car is kind of insane.
Yeah, so I haven't been in the car at all, and I haven't seen it, just so everybody gets that. I've seen reviews of it, and I've seen people dicking with that screen.
Yeah, so it's... you can customize your rev matching, like the aggression that it does. You can obviously do your suspension, like springs and dampening or whatever. You can choose your, aggression of your throttle inputs, steering, and there were some others.
There were some other interesting ones I remember. I just don't remember what they were.
I was just like swiping through. I was like, holy shit. Like, because there's like a menu that pops up and like about 4 or 5 different like windows pop up for you to like click on to customize each one.
Yep.
And then you can just swipe it and like there's more. It's like, holy shit. Like there's like a fuck ton that you can do. And he had his mode. It was basically the most hardcore like N mode without the harsh ride.
Yeah.
Which is the way you should always set up a car.
On street.
For street driving, yeah. Track driving is separate. How I would say that this car is a Venn. It's not a Venn diagram necessarily, but it is a kind of a perfect middle ground between like Performance Pack GTI and Focus RS.
Yeah.
And so it's just refined enough to not feel like a Fiesta ST. It definitely feels like a little step above. There are some familiarities in like the use of like the kind of plastic that's used.
Yeah.
But it's not vomited all over the place. It's just in like a couple areas. The more expensive plastics like piano black or whatever, that all felt nice. The wheel, the steering wheel actually had not too much of a girth.
Yeah.
It was the perfect size like diameter.
Yeah.
Which was great. The seat felt good. It wasn't quite Recaro seats in the Fiesta ST. But they still, I found a really solid driving position. I was like, yeah, I could drive this for hours. Like, this feels great.
Yeah.
This feels good. The not just the seat itself with bolstering, but the position was really nice for someone of my frame and my size, for someone being 5'10".
Yeah.
That was really nice. Yeah, it's quick. I want to have a solid go and like spend some time with one. Actually, when I drove that car, I went to look on Turo to see if there were any in LA for when we were going to California, and sadly there weren't any.
No, I want to have a go in that as well, just because I've seen the reviews and it looks tantalizing to say the least.
Here's what Hyundai needs to do. They need to keep an N line. Okay. They need to keep the Veloster N. And then they need to bring their i30N, because that is where I would legit put my money. And speaking of money, actually, the base model of the Veloster N is $27.
Yeah, that's good.
The performance pack with the LSD is $30.
Yeah,
like on like $29,950,
which is still like amazing value.
It felt genuinely like a lot of car for that.
Yeah.
Honestly, the rear seats weren't even that cramped. I sat behind myself. I'm not a super tall dude, but I could fit for a road trip.
Yeah,
I'd be fine. I'd be okay. Yeah, it's a very practical car.
The Koreans, just like I was saying, this is
They're
something.
invading, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah, this is something we've talked about a lot based on my previous ownership of a Stinger.
Well,
Now this.
The G70 is also out. You can get that with the manual, which is awesome. My buddy Sasha, actually, just today, his stepdad just picked up a G90.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, and so he sent me some pictures today, and he was just talking about the suspension and the refinement.
And I've been in the G90's sister, the K900.
Yeah.
And the new K900 was also pretty damn good.
My buddy Sasha defined it as relaxed but super serene and cushy.
Yeah, I mean, it is a luxury car.
It is very much a luxury car through and through.
And you know what's funny is I wouldn't say I like him more, especially not in specs wise, but I do kind of appreciate the fact that they're not falling into the same trap BMW is, where every luxury car has to also be a sports car.
Well, BMW kind of painted themselves in a corner when they called themselves the ultimate driving machine. Mm-hmm. When they called it as a brand, the ultimate driving machine. It's like, oh, so now this 4,500-pound 7 Series has to go around corners.
Which, don't get me wrong,
which
is really
great.
Cool. But sometimes you just want the luxury, and you can never quite get to just the luxury.
They've just been kind of half and half and kind of wishy-washy on both the sports side and also the luxury side for a while, and now they've just started to sell out and do luxury things only. And now that they're doing that, they're trying to go really hard in the paint and that and be really bold, and that's how you get the X7.
Yeah, pretty much.
Unfortunately.
Sadly. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I would love to hear everybody's thoughts on like the Korean takeover, because I know it's a very honestly opinionated field, because even like myself going for the Stinger, which was, I would argue, probably the first real breakthrough they've had, because they had the Genesis line before that, but it wasn't.
But I wouldn't count that though.
It wasn't really that crazy at that time.
No.
The Stinger in late 2017 in December was really the first launch they had that was a real
People were like, holy shit, this thing is really good.
Yeah.
It wasn't just Kia tooting their own horn about how good something is. Other people were saying, oh, no, they're actually serious this time.
And it wasn't, this is the first time I think the big difference is that it wasn't just, oh, it's good for the money. It was, it's just actually
It's just
good.
actually a good car.
Yeah. And, that's what led me to go test drive it. It looked good. It sounded, like it looked, all the little things I looked at before. And then
it was an appealing vehicle.
And then I went in and felt it, and I was like, okay, fit and finish feels good. Materials feels good. And then I got pre-approved to test drive it, and then it was...
You test drive it, and you're like, oh, no.
I knew that second that there was no way I was walking out of the dealership without it.
Everything else is ruined.
And, honestly, at this point, I actually have several mechanics that swear by Kias. Matt Wofford actually is...
Wow, that's a...
Okay, it sounds surprising, but, he's a Kia Master Tech. He did work at a Kia dealership for a while.
Oh, really?
Quite a while ago. But,
Sure, back when they were terrible.
Even then, they weren't terrible. They were just not... They were reliable. They were just dismal. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
They were good mechanical beasts, but
sure,
nothing to write home about at all.
No.
And so even then, he still appreciates them as just basic cars. And even up till now. But, now that the Stinger has come into play, you can kind of see, that... The way that I kind of look at it is that DNA that's flowing from their rebranding attempts in about 2010 started with the facelift with the new Optima and stuff.
Well, in Genesis, the Genesis Coupe came out in 2009.
Mm-hmm.
That's when the things really started to take shape, really, because you had the Genesis Coupe, you had the Genesis Sedan before that, I believe, or Genesis Sedan was 2009.
It was after, yeah.
The Sedan was first, the Coupe came after.
Yes.
Because
and then,
I remember hearing there's a Genesis Coupe now?
Yeah.
And they had this huge ad campaign of they had on their website a bunch of stock footage compiled of the car running around a racetrack, and you would make your own edit.
Mm-hmm. So then after that, you had the rebranding attempts in the early 2010s with the Optima and the whole brand getting a facelift and actually starting to look like their own brand and not just a literal painted box on wheels.
Right, or an S-Class wannabe.
Mm-hmm. And then after it was 2013, you had the launching of the actual Genesis brand.
Right.
Which was a failure. It's still here today, but the launch was a failure. Is what
it's
I'm
a
saying.
bit of a flop.
And you had the G80 and the G90.
Then the 70 came
after
last.
the Stinger.
Because they share the same platform.
Mm-hmm. And so I consider the G70 and Stinger to be one success because it effectively is the same platform, just with the G70 being slightly smaller and slightly more luxurious.
Smaller as in mostly shorter.
Yeah, shorter.
And the shortness is taken out of the rear seat legroom.
Yeah, it's about 4 inches.
Yeah.
And so then after that, shortly after the G70 landed, they had already announced the Veloster N, but shortly after the G70 landed is when people actually started getting to drive and talk about the Veloster N. And
right. And when people had talked about the i30N before the Veloster N had come, or like they just barely started. I think it was before though.
Yeah, and it's one of those other cars that we as Americans do not get.
We don't get it. We might though.
Who knows?
I honestly wouldn't be surprised. But that's something they need to do. They need to bring over the i30N.
Ah, gosh. At this point, I'm just curious what their next step is going to be. We've joked on this podcast before about the fun of like
Stinger motor sports car.
Exactly. Which would just honestly, with the performance the Stinger has, just flatten some of the competition once you put it in a 500-pound lighter chassis that's designed for handling. And yeah, it's just what are they going to do next? Because they've done so much in so few years to gross very well.
Oh, they've exploded.
Then,
yeah,
it's... Well, even actually, another one. I wouldn't consider this a list of big breakthroughs, but having sat in a Telluride, if you really weren't that educated, you could honestly mistake it for the inside of a Range Rover. It's not that...
Or, I mean, if you're not that educated and if you didn't see the Kia badge, you might think it's an Escalade.
It's really not... I'd say it's better than an Escalade. It's not as much plastic as an Escalade.
I'm talking about from the outside.
Oh, from the outside. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, they really did their good work even with that.
I keep on seeing Palisades, though.
Yeah, Palisades...
They're selling a lot of Palisades.
Yeah, Hyundai generally outsells Kia. For, whatever reason, branding or marketing or whatever. I haven't sat in a Palisade yet, but I've sat, in its sibling, and I can tell you for damn sure that it's a damn nice place to sit.
Yeah.
Sincerely,
I concur.
Quality, so.
Yeah, because I was there with you one of the times when you had your Stinger towards the end of that.
Yeah. And it was...
Yeah, there's someone that was, taking delivery. What were they?
Yeah, we just got to kind of peek inside really quick.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it kind of makes me excited for what the fuck's next.
Yeah, I don't know.
If you want to send in your guess for what the fuck's next with the Koreans,
Mailbag.
This is the game show.
Mailbag.eos@gmail.com.
Who the fuck knows? I mean, it's the Korean takeover similar to the Japanese takeover of the early 90s.
I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I'm very okay with it.
I know, seriously.
As long as we get better cars, I don't care where a car's from, honestly.
No, neither do I.
If it's really fucking good.
Exactly.
I'd love to have a go.
I think with the exception of Chinese and Indian, I've owned a car from every single, general major nationality.
But the Chinese don't make good cars, though.
I know, but I'm saying that I've owned one from everywhere else. I've owned one from Sweden, Germany. Actually, I haven't owned one from Britain yet. I've driven.
Or Italy.
Yeah, I haven't owned those two. Okay, so I've got Britain and Italy that I need to do, but I've owned Korean, I've owned Japanese, I've owned American,
Yep.
I've owned Swedish.
German.
German.
A lot of German.
So I need Italian and British, and then I will at some point pity myself and go get Chinese and Indian.
You've driven a car from South Africa, though.
Yes. Well, South Florida, you mean? It's kind of from...
Kind of both.
A little bit of everything. Yeah. It's actually, it's about 33% British, too. So, I mean...
Yeah, it is. It is.
I don't know where the fuck a Rossian's from. A Rossian is an anomaly of the world.
It is. It's a melting pot of a vehicle.
Yeah, seriously. But, oh, boy.
But yeah, Veloster N, good car. We need to put it on camera.
Yes.
Very good car.
Yeah, and I would like to legitimately have it side by side by a new gen GTI.
We can make that happen, actually.
Yeah,
that's not hard.
That wouldn't be too hard.
No.
That I'm actually wondering. That begs a slight question. Obviously, GTIs are fairly common and fairly popular. I wonder how popular or not popular the N will become. Because, again, the thing that they're still trying to fight, which even the Stinger has slightly overcame but is still fighting, is the badge snobbery. Because their sales aren't out of this world.
There's badge snobbery because they were charging $50,000 for a Kia.
Mm-hmm. Okay, which I get valid. I was skeptical at first as well.
Yeah.
A lot of the people, at least that I've had encounters with, that have shit talked, haven't driven it.
Of course.
I think the same thing is going to be suffered by the Veloster.
I mean, the same thing has happened with like GTRs,
Mm-hmm.
and same thing has happened with all sorts of, I don't know, not GT3s, 911s, Miatas are a huge example of that.
So the good news is that if we're to this point where this is happening, that's a good sign for the future. Because almost every time it happens that there's controversy like this about a car, it means that it's the brand and or car is about ready to step over that hurdle.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they did sell a decent amount of Velosters. I mean, this isn't the first time that Hyundai has made a hatchback.
No, they've sold it. The Velosters themselves has sold decently well. I'm mainly talking about the actual N, how much it will really sell. Because a Veloster Turbo, I would not quite consider on the level of a GTI.
It's not.
It's still a little below that.
Right, but they're also still packing a hell of a punch for the value for a $30,000 car.
Yes.
Like, yeah, it's a little smaller because it's a hot hatch.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you're getting an electronically controlled LSD. You can control so much about what the car does.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually not a bad place to be. The shifter's great. The clutch is really big. The owner actually stalled it twice when we were pulling out. I didn't stall it at all. But I also he came from a Camaro that had a really heavy and direct clutch, and I'm used to driving the Forester.
Yeah.
And so I was kind of more geared up for that, but
I bet you there'll be fixes for that. There's always small
there always will be.
Yeah.
The rev matching on this though was on par with that M2. As far as directness of like accuracy.
That's so crazy to think. Like,
right?
We have a Hyundai hatchback having rev matching on par with an M car.
Not even that. Better rev matching than a 911. Because I put BMW slightly higher, like with the rev matching technology.
Mm-hmm.
Nissan 370Z, M2, Veloster N.
In that order.
Not in that order. So they're kind of grouped up at the top, and then the 911 was slightly below that.
Gotcha. Yeah, gosh, that's just, it's so fucking nuts to
wild
be talking about that.
What a timeline we live in, man. What a fucking time to be alive.
What a day. What a lovely day.
Exactly. But yeah, Veloster N, very good car. Would love to have it on camera. Yes. Francisco?
Please. Yes.
Maybe we'll do a thing next season with the GTI and that car.
That'd be a good comparo.
I know who we could go to. I have a guy. PR?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The red GTI?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Shout out to PR. He helped us with the Fiesta ST and 500 Barth video.
He's a solid dude.
He is a solid dude. That video just passed 1,800 views.
Yay. We're kind of famous. Not really.
What's funny... This may or may not be cut out, but I was talking to someone on Facebook dating, and she, I guess, is into cars and stuff.
Okay.
And when she asked for my Instagram, I said I'm gp.media. She's like, "Oh my God, you're Instagram famous."
Oh jeez.
Like, oh boy.
You're like, yeah, but not in the same way that you would like to be Instagram famous.
Exactly. She seems fun though.
Don't cut that out.
Okay, I'll leave it in. It's fine. Just gonna be me stroking my ego cock on air.
So isn't that what you do every week?
I need to cut this back. I gotta work on myself.
You're good. Anyways, if you have any opinions, questions, angry face emojis, or otherwise on the Korean takeover and or anything else we've talked about in this episode, please hit us up at mailbag.eos@gmail.com. We have Facebook with Messenger and everything else. You can message us directly or to the show at Exhibition of Speed Show. We have Instagram and many other ways you can contact us. If you happen to have our phone numbers, you could do that too if you really feel so
Please
inclined.
don't, though.
But please don't.
Please
We
don't.
have enough to worry about without hearing from you. One of these days, we'll just buy a cell phone that just receives text to do with the show.
That would be nice, actually. That would
Just buy
be
a
great.
burner track phone.
Can it please be just like a flip phone?
Yes. No. The cheapest phone we can find.
Oh my
Neither of us are
goodness.
rich.
Oh my God, that might happen.
That would be pretty funny.
We'll see. But thank you all for joining us on this wonderful Tuesday episode, and we will see you tomorrow with a Track Daily Crush, because we don't have Jordan this week, and we don't know what to talk about on Wednesday. So
Track Daily Crush Wednesday and a lot more fun on Friday.
some shenaniganry will ensue on Friday. But until next time, I've been Gavin.
And I've been Justin.
And this has been the Exhibition of Speed podcast. Goodbye.
Bye.